Trust we had a great day. Trust we had a great day. Hope not so stressful. Trust we had a great day. So today I want to have a short conversation around building wealth from zero, building wealth from scratch, building wealth from zero. I know we live in a time where people tend to assume, hey, once the person starts talking, it's perspire to aspire. Unfortunately, as true as it is that there are a lot of people who have caught the whole bug of perspire to aspire, the reality still remains that there are those people who genuinely grew from nothing into something. Genuinely grew from nothing into something. Those group of people still exist. And we must ensure we are not carried away by the number of fakeness, the level of fakeness that we see, that we blind ourselves to the truths that can exist, that we blind ourselves to the truths that can exist. Again, I am not saying we don't have those who are into the whole aspire to aspire ceremony. They exist of a truth, but it would be oversimplification if we choose to assume that that is the only set of people that exist, because there are actually people who have been able to build their wealth from zero. And these are the people I want to, or the people that feel they are in that place where they need to build, which means they do not have an inheritance. They did not leave home to go relax. They left home so that they can go back to feed home. I believe in Magic Farms. These are the people I want to have a conversation with, because I understand how hard it is. Hi, good evening. Thanks all the way from Benin. How hard it is to build from scratch. How hard it is to build from zero. And it's important we understand this basic truth, that the fact that we are in the same boat does not necessarily mean we are starting from the same point. First, I need us to understand that. So, we can be colleagues, but it doesn't mean we are actually at the same level, because the mistake many a time we make is we assume that because we are at same space, or we are in the same space, automatically we should get the same results. And we do not get to understand that there are people who have an edge or an advantage. So for me, I define my 0 point as the beginning, where you have absolutely no money. You know, I've taught before that as a starter, there are 3 things you would always need in life. However, life is such a fun zone that it gives you 2, so that you use the 2 to get the 3rd. And those 3 things are money, time, and knowledge. And every time you need 1, you would most likely have 2 out of the 3. So it's your ability to combine the 2 that gives you the 3rd. Your ability to combine the 2 that gives you the 3rd. Now, as someone who is trying to build wealth, through agriculture as a young person, the first thing you need to understand is the first investor in your vision, the first investor in your dream has to be you. You are going to be the first investor in your dream, because you have a lot of young people who are waiting for external validation before they can become. But the truth is, you need your internal validation. You need to be able to validate you. Very important. You need to be able to validate you. You need to be able to see the vision by yourself, to say, okay, this is possible. And the reason for that is because we live in a self-centered world, and this is not because one person is flawed or the other person is better. This is just what it is. This is just the reality that is. So we live in a world where people are first essentially self-centered. So until you give yourself a start, people will not start clapping. Until you start the race, people are not going to start cheering you on. There is this Yoruba adage, I don't know if I'm going to say it well, but I will try. It says, Omotoba something kapasoke ni iya re ma gbe, meaning when a mother is coming from a trip, a journey back home, it is that kid that raises the hand ajar. That is the one that the mother would carry and lift up. So it essentially means if the child does not lift his or her hands, the mother will most likely just rub the head and say, hope you are fine, and that is the end. So your elevation by people first begins with your outstretched arms. There is that which you need to do, and stage one of trying to build wealth is believing in yourself and investing in your vision. Because I see a lot of young persons who come around and they are like, oh, this is what I want to do. They have very beautiful vision, but they are waiting for somebody else to fund that vision first. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. The only time you will see an external person funding your vision is because there is an inheritance that you carry. Either you've inherited a great name, you've inherited a great pathway. There is something you have that makes it necessary for people to want to help you even before you lift your hands. But on the norm, the world does not work that way. The world does not operate that way. So as an individual, as a person, I need to understand this simple fact that I need to be the first to invest in my vision. I know here somebody would say, okay, I understand trying to invest in my vision, but what if I do not have the funds to invest in my vision? What then? Do I give up? No. You see, when you do not have the funds for your vision, then it means you have the time to commit to another person's vision. When you are not able to actively pursue your vision, then intentionally help another person's vision. So because you see, if you cannot do something about what you need to do for yourself, then it means there are people who have the resources for their vision that needs people. Go work for their vision. Go work for their own dream. Because you see, at the end of the day, by the time you are ready to start your vision, there are people that would also come support your vision. So we need to get to that point where we understand when I cannot fund my vision, then I can be a tool in another person's vision. So this whole thing of, oh, since I can't do my own vision yet, I'm not helping anybody, you are angry with the world, it's not the right way to go. And when you have to serve in another person's vision, serve like you are being paid. Do it like it's your own. Don't go haphazardly. You see, because I have seen people who, when it comes to other people's vision, they handle it with trivia, they handle it anyhow, and they start thinking when it is their own vision, they are going to do better. No. When it's your own vision, you are going to attract those that will give you help. So, in another man's vision, give it your best. You see, because the funny thing about supporting another man's vision is you never can tell if your own future will be fulfilled in their vision. You never can tell. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'll give you an example of somebody that served another man's vision and somebody else who refused to serve another man's vision. I will use the past and the present. So, if we look at the past, we talk about the story of David. David was anointed to be king. Remember the whole story of what happened? Because I try as much as I can to relate the biblical stories to our today's reality. Try and imagine that today President Tinubu says, I am coming to your house. Maybe not President Tinubu, maybe His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, Atiku Abubakar, all the ex-presidents, President Goodluck Jonathan, they all say they are coming to your house, and they get to your house and they are like, hey, we are looking for that person that is going to be the next president. And try and imagine when they got to the house, they called everybody out. And the whole of these presidents are like, no, we are not, this is not the person that we want as president. Then your father now says, there is a young boy in the farm. He went to Eya at Soile's Farm Lab. And then they now say, it is that boy, Gongogon, that we want to anoint. But we are not going to sit down. Because try and imagine that Prophet Samuel was the number one prophet in town at that time. Which means if they had their own sirens, or their own version of sirens and all of that, all of these guys came to anoint a young man. And they all stood waiting because the prophet is standing, every other person has to stand. He said, we are not going to sit. Before they were able to run with donkey to go and pick him, come back with the donkey, clean him up quickly so that he can be presentable. But remember that after all of this, he went back to the bush. In the bush, he was taking, this is somebody who has been given the assurance that you will be a king. You are the next king of Israel. But he did not have the capacity to pursue that dream and bring it to pass. But he had the capacity to take care of his father's sheep, another man's vision. While he was taking care of the sheep, a lion came, a bear came to attack the sheep. He ran after them and rescued the sheep that they took. Meaning, despite the fact he knew, I have been anointed to be king, he still gave his best in the job that he was given. He still gave the best in the job that he was given. Little wonder why at the end of the day, what introduced him to the palace first was the music he was playing to those animals. Because not only, if it were today, we would say, not only was he catering for their bodily security or their physical security, he also cared about the mental health of those animals, if that makes sense in any way. He also cared about the mental health of those animals. Yes, if you can't take care of what you are given, who will give what is yours? Exactly. So you now suddenly realize, in taking care of another man's vision, he walked into his own path to destiny. Another example, fortunately, unfortunately, again has to do with David and Jonathan. The fact that Jonathan's father said, hey, this boy that you are following, don't you know he has been anointed? He wants to be the next king and take your space. Jonathan did not understand that His safety was in being connected to David as a number 2. Once he broke that rank, he lost his life. He lost his life. So, what am I saying? As a young person, in our journey to build wealth, we must start from when I do not have money, who can I serve? This is not eye service. I am saying, who can you really serve? Who can you really give your service to? Not eye service. Who can you really give your service to? Who can you, what's the word now? Help fulfill their vision? Who can you be an impact person in their journey? Who can you serve? I have heard people say, oh, salary is what they pay you for you not to, what's the word? For you to forget your own dreams. No. The salary you are paid is a way to help you keep body and soul together so that you still have hope to pursue your dream. You are being paid salary to groom you for where you are going. You are being paid salary for you to learn how to deal with bullshit, because if you are going to be CEO, you cannot be a leader if you have never been a servant. So, regardless of the kind of bosses that you think you have, trust me, it's not going to be worse than when you become your CEO. Because as a CEO, you are going to take a whole lot worse from different people. So, as a young person, I must intentionally get to that point where I understand when I do not have the means to start, then it is time to serve. When I do not have what it takes to start, it is time to serve. When I do not have what it takes to start my own business, to pursue my own dream, to import my own goods, to establish my own this, it is time to serve another person's dream. It is time to serve another person's dream. Do not be afraid to serve. I have had people say things. See, one of the things I have realized, why you have a lot of jobless people who are graduates in Nigeria, it's not necessarily because there are no jobs as much as we have too many egos who, because of a certificate they have, they now believe some things are beneath them. We have become a generation of people who believe that there are things we deserve and there are things we should not accept or condone. And because proverbs are available, there is a way you can take a proverb and apply it to your own situation and it sounds right. And you feel like if the proverb supports it, the others do. Because you start hearing things like, ikoti nigba lolowo, talika latinko. What you will not accept as a rich person, you learn it while you are poor. But you see, what you do not understand is the true mark of greatness and wealth at times is ability to accept some bullshit. The ability to accept some. In a situation where you don't have that around you to serve, what do? There is always a place to serve. There is always, service is not about, so let me look for a way to put that. You are not serving in an industry that you are trying to build in. You are serving in a place where you find an opportunity for service. An opportunity for service. So let's take for example, you are not doing service in looking for one oil and gas because you want to open a filling station tomorrow or you want to own oil block. No. Find where is a need. Where can I be accountable? Where can I be held accountable? So even if you are serving in a place where they over-respect you, you must on your own hold yourself accountable to them. You must on your own hold yourself accountable to them. Because without accountability, You are a for lack of a better word, you look more like probably for the right words to use, a disaster waiting to happen. So there is always a place to serve. There is always a space to serve. Except now remember that, because at this level, the goal where you are at level 0, the goal is not first and foremost money. I always tell Daddy Tosin, good evening, sir. Pastor Tosin, good evening, sir. I always tell people this: whether we like it or not, wealth, money, is an indicator of value. Money is an indicator of value. Hi, Shameya. Good evening, Alabi. Money is an indicator of value. It may not be what we like. It may not be something we like to align with. We are not seen as, oh, now money be the one. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It is what it is. That money is a pointer to value. If, for example, I am going somewhere to speak, and that if Fela Durotoye is going somewhere to speak, who do you think more people will listen to? Who do you think will pull the crowd? The reality is that if Fela Durotoye will pull the crowd, whereas I will not pull the same crowd. But even if it is agri conversation, more people will still go to him. So by default, the value that he carries is what pulls people, and that is why he will earn more. There are no two ways about it. Because we may want to because as Nigerians, we have these things of trying to over-spiritualize some things. But the reality is, your wealth is a pointer to your value. You might be more valuable than your money, but at the end of the day, your money gives us an idea of the value that people see. How rich you are tells us the value that people see. So, as a young person, when you do not have money to run your vision, start by volunteering in another man's vision. Somebody else might say, even if we cannot go to number 4 today, even if it's only number 1, I'm fine. Somebody else might say, okay, my own issue is I don't even know what to pursue. I am just confused. Or maybe you are somebody that is saying, I have multiple talents. That's my issue. So, how do you find your purpose? How do you find the vision? So, first things first, as a simple test is, I tell young persons, imagine money were not an issue. Imagine you are not trying to eat, you are not trying to get shelter, you are not trying to get car, anything. What work would you love to do that will make you fulfilled? Think about it, anything. If money was not your problem or were not your problem, would you still be doing what you are currently doing? That's the question. If money were not a problem, would you be doing what you are doing right now? So there is always a place to serve. After my service here last year, I had to accept a job offer of 30K as a graduate of agric in a new farm, and still working there because I want to build my value knowledge. Exactly. Thank you, Jonah. Thank you, Jonah, for that. That's where I'm going. You see, first, we need to know, do you know what would you like to do that makes you, that you are just happy doing it? Write all of those things, the top 5 things down that you would love to do, that you enjoy doing just for the fun. Number 2, what do people come to you for? Think of what kind of problems do people come to you? What kind of favor do people ask of you? Because you will start seeing a pattern. If everything you enjoy doing, people don't come to you for it, it is either they are not seeing it or you are not doing it well. Or maybe you are just delusional. So, what are the kind of things? Because you need to listen and watch patterns. You need to be the kind of person that understands patterns. To say, okay, Every day when people come, they are like, come and make my hair, come and make my hair, come and make my hair. Even if you are doing it for free, it doesn't matter. What matters is they are coming to you every time to request for that thing. That thing they are coming to request from you shows that there is a value you can provide, even if you have undervalued it, even if you have not put a price to it, even if you have not polished the skills, even if you have not turned it into a business, but there is a value that they see that makes them to come. Hi, Blessing, Kure. There is something that they see that makes them to come. The number 3 is, you know what you enjoy doing if money were not an issue. You know what people are coming for. Number 3 is, where do you see an opportunity in those two things that are aligned? Because if you check, you might just be shocked that, oh, there are 10 things you like doing that you enjoy doing. Out of those 10, there are 3 or 4 things that people come to you for randomly. But in those 4, where do you see an opportunity to make money quick? Because you see, when it comes to building wealth, time matters. When it comes to building wealth, time is a big factor. And you cannot not work with time. You cannot just be lackadaisical with time and be like, well, whenever it happens, it happens. No. There must be that intentionality. There must be that decisiveness to say, this is what I am trying to build. There must be that. So, for you to know which path to take, you must look at where is there an opportunity. Because many a time, what we tend to do is pick something we are passionate about. Hey, my Oga Babatunde, good evening, sir. What we tend to do is pick something we are passionate about, even when there are no opportunities for that thing to thrive, and start saying it is a village thing. Imagine right now, I live in Awowo, inside farm. I now go and open an Apple store, and I am now complaining that I am not selling phone. No, I won't sell. No demon needs to sit on that shop for it not to work. Because what's the word now? The reward of my stupidity of not knowing what not to do, I would see it in the death of my business. So as a young person, we must be able to identify the opportunities in our area of strength and our area of people coming to say, solve some problems for me. And I must be fast at it. Because you see, one of the biggest delusions at times we have as young persons is assume that that idea that you have, you are the only one that have the idea. Is to believe that that idea that you have, it's what's the word now? It's just you alone. So you start seeing yourself as that extra special because you have been told you are special, you are unique, you are this. But the reality is we are more the same than we are different. Our commonality far outweighs our difference. So it means, let me give you an example so it will make sense. I don't know if you've ever sat down and thought of a business idea randomly. The idea just dropped, pam, in your head. After the idea dropped, you didn't do anything, you just laughed. I will do something, but later, may go sleep, Jerry, me or Shay, come on, you didn't do anything about it. I don't know if it has ever happened to you before. Now, what you would notice is, if you've ever thought of a business that, you did not end up doing, notice the funny thing that usually happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you are going to find somebody doing that thing either exactly the way you thought about it or even better than the way you thought about it. I don't know if it has ever happened to anybody before, where you had an idea that you said, wow, this idea is beautiful, but you did not do anything about the idea. Years later, you now see somebody else doing that same thing. That tells you that The ideas that you have right now in your mind that makes you believe I am the special one, I am the only one, I am the chosen one, it is nothing special. There are multiple people who have gotten that idea, number one. Number two, the real owner of the idea that would benefit from that idea is the first person to do something with it. The first person to do something with it. Because you see, growth and wealth are action words. Growth and wealth are action words. Growth and wealth are not things that happen by chance. No, you can make money by chance through lottery, but you build wealth by intentionality. So that's very true. I have documented a lot of ideas over the years and found someone else did exactly that. Exactly, Mr. Goke. So ideas are like biblical talent. If you don't use it, someone else will. Exactly, Mr. Ikechukwu. This is the harsh reality. And until we start realizing that ideas are not, ideas are like a lot. So I need to get to the point where I understand speed is important. Because now this is the funny thing about ideas. Look for anybody who has built a business that is very good. I also documented a fresh idea one time and found that someone is living in that dream since 2016 online. You see? Now, look for somebody that has built a business. Look for anybody that has built something substantial as a business. Ask them about the idea when they started and where they are. Any idea that you get is not a finished product. Any idea that you get is just a start point, is just a beginning. Until you step into that idea, the idea will not evolve and metamorphose into something better. So, if you keep sitting and looking at the idea, thinking and waiting, those who have started the idea would have started working the idea, but that by the time you come in and start later, you look like copycat. You look like copycats. So, as a young person, we need to understand that these ideas, they are not just thoughts. Lesson. Let me put it another way so you understand. Let me give you another example for it to make sense. Have you ever had an idea that you did not use, and years later, you saw somebody else who used the same idea and they are now wealthy because of that idea? Have you ever seen that before? Where you had an idea that you just laughed off, or an idea that you procrastinated about, but years later, you now see somebody who got the same idea and they have used that idea to build wealth. So you would suddenly realize that the reason I am poor or broke was never because I could not think of what could make me rich. It was because of indecisiveness, procrastination, or nonchalant attitude about the ideas that could have changed my life. But the good news for you is, you know you have the capacity to think wealth. You have the capacity for your brain to create, and it creates something that can make you wealth, that can take you out wealthy, that can take you out of the trenches. That is the good news. The bad news is, because you did not use it, you are still in the trenches. The better news is, new ideas would come. So it is the person that runs with it first that gets the reward of the idea. So in essence, you realize wealth is about pace. Wealth is about first starters. Who gets it first? I gave up on you when you requested a fellow African entrepreneur for 1 hour consultation. You gave up on him. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Somebody said they gave up on me when I said a fellow African entrepreneur should pay 500,000 naira to talk to me for an hour. Yes, instigator. Do you know how many degrees I've gotten through life? Do you know what I had gone through to get the knowledge that I have today? So if you are going to sit with me for me to help you build your business and you feel it's not worth 500,000, hold your idea, hold your business, build what you can build without me. The good thing is you don't need me to succeed. I was just one of the pathways. Just one of the pathways. So if you are not able to pay me, there are other people who would charge less. That's the one thing I need you to understand. There are other people who would happily charge less. That the highest charging artist is not necessarily the best artist. The highest charging speaker is not necessarily the best speaker. So the fact that I charged you a lot is not a reason to give up on your dream. You can find people that will charge less. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'll give you an example. There are some not consultations. Now, yes, let me use the word consult. I tried to make and I realized I don't have funds for this. I let it go. I do not end up disliking that person. It means I cannot afford you, but I do what I can where I can. Hope that makes sense. Okay. I had an idea of packaging palm oil back then when I was in school. I wrote it down but did not act on it. Years later, palm oil packaging is everywhere. You see? And you would realize if you could figure out who started the whole palm oil packaging and that became everywhere, that person is most likely a millionaire right now. That could have been you. That could have been me saying, see my millionaire friend, do have one, I beg. Send me like 100 and may I just take whole body. But the good thing is it shows you have the capacity to think right. You have the capacity to have creative thoughts. That is what is important. So I said, as somebody starting from point zero, so that I come back as I round this up, you are either going to have money to start your vision or you find somebody to serve. I think the part of Nigeria that understood this perfectly very well before civilization almost ruined it are our Igbo brothers. What they call, not entrepreneurship now, what's that thing called? When they have a person serve them, there is a name it is called now. I'm trying to remember the name. Apprenticeship. In short, there was even something, there was a study around it, I think it was Harvard Business School that did that, on the Igbo apprenticeship method of wealth transfer. Apprenticeship method of wealth transfer. Because what I need you to understand, somewhere in the scripture it says, it is I, that's God speaking, that gives you power to make wealth. So what God owes you is the power, but you are the one that will make wealth. It is you that will make wealth. The one you've heard me quote again and again, say, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth. So it is you that will choose to prosper. It is you that will choose to prosper. Now, still on this whole starting from zero, the fact that you are serving somebody at that low level does not mean you are going to become rich. Because one of the bigger errors I have noticed among young people is assuming because I am serving the rich will reward me with riches. No. Your service of the rich is an opportunity for you to be trained on how to behave around the rich. Again, back to the story of David. Why did he have to first go and serve in the palace as a flute player? Because this is a boy that grew up in the village and had to go to the bush. So God needed to ensure he learns the language of the palace. He knows how to behave in the palace, how to act like a royal. Because if he did not get the opportunity to get that apprenticeship while playing flute, when he became later president or the king of Egypt or the king of the land, he would have messed things up. He would have destroyed a lot of things because of ignorance. So you need to understand that the opportunity availed to you to stay around the rich is not for the rich to transfer wealth to you, but rather to build your wisdom and give you value. To build your wisdom and give you value. I always tell young people this: you must be careful where you collect money, because you cannot get money and wisdom from the same source. You don't get money and wisdom from the same source. If you are around a mentor, you are around somebody who you believe is going to help you grow, then they are not your source of income, they are your source for wisdom. They are your source for accountability. The rich does not help you by saying, take this 100 million, go and blow it, and you have blown. No. They train you. When they believe you have been trained, they do what we call name dropping. They drop your name in places that matters so that opportunities can come to you for free, or opportunities can come to you easily, or they are able to pre-qualify you for opportunities. But it is important I state this, that at this level, as you begin to grow intellectually, financially you will be broke. Financially, you'll be living from hand to mouth. People may even judge you and say, are you really sure this person knows this person? People might even mock you, because the goal of this stage is to build your skill. The goal of this stage is to build your value. When you are at that poor level, we want to build your value. The goal at this stage is to build the esteem of yourself, self-esteem. Is to build, because you do not have anything. So for you to show up in the midst of the who is who and still hold your fort, hey, Oga Jeffrey, good evening, sir, and still hold your fort, it must mean that you have believed so much in what you carry rather than what you don't have. You believe so much in your capacity rather than what you do not have. So the idea is they are to shift you mentally from what you lack to seeing what you have. They are not to give you. They are just helping you to shift from what you lack to now seeing what you have. Because before you can get out of poverty, there must be something you have that can become your trading value. That can become your trading value. That is, in football, there's something called player exchange. That is what you are going to use to exchange the poverty for riches first. Those that see their employment at school have more chances of growing wealth. Exactly. Thank you so much, sir. Until you get, because you hear people say things like, no, I don't like my boss because he doesn't like me. The function of your boss is not to like you. If you are fortunate to have a boss that likes you, that you like, awesome. But if not, your boss is not wrong. You are wrong. Your boss is not wrong. You are the one that is wrong. So you must get to that point where you start realizing this harsh reality. That in this phase of zero, this is the beginning. Maybe tomorrow I'll go to the second, third, then finally fourth. But in this space of zero, I am here to serve. I am here to build value. You might be paid something, but you are like, this thing that I'm paying is not, thank you, sir, that this thing that I'm being paid is not enough. It really doesn't matter if it is not enough. Because let me explain this, what a lot of young persons don't get. When you start earning your worth too early, you reduce the opportunity of growing the worth to be able to earn more. I don't know how to explain that. If I were to explain that to make sense. If Yamal is a footballer, if Yamal right now starts earning $1 million per week, The problem and danger of that is he might lose the momentum to pursue more. And the problem with that is he may not achieve more than where he is right now. So the point being, we must get to that place where we know I am not yet at my earning state. I might be making money, but I am not where I am earning yet. I am still in my learning phase. I am still in my learning phase. So that when things start happening, I remember I am in my learning phase. I'll give an example because as a business person, as a young entrepreneur, you are going to have multiple opportunities to know you are in your learning phase. And do not mistake accolades or rewards or awards for you have left learning phase. Do not mistake platforms for you have left, because you will say, oh, there was a program I was invited to. When I got there, I was on the same panel with former AFDB President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. That means you are not anywhere yet. Because the fact that you are sitting with people on a panel, that you are in the same room, that you are on the same queue, does not mean you are there yet. You might still be learning when they are earning. And if you choose to start earning too early like them, you might shoot yourself in the foot unknowingly. You might shoot yourself in the foot unknowingly. Take, for example, when we started the whole, we want to go into processing. Over a year ago, I've been saying, okay, we started buying equipment, buying this, buying that, setting up and all of that. And customers came around, we will do this, we will do this, we will do that. And it felt like, for myself, well, now that you have said you want to create the first private SAPZ zone for young entrepreneurs where they can all bring their things, you have hit the silver bullet. Everything is going to be easy from here forward. In short, you have won, no issues. But guess what I did not know, What I did not know was the fact that, processing is stress. With typical farming, I am not on the farm morning till evening, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then I go back again by 9 p.m. till dawn. No, I never had to do that. But with processing, that became a new learning curve. And in that new learning curve, there are customers that will say, we made a mistake. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me pay you your money for the error that I made. And we pay. Why? It is not the earning phase yet. It is the learning phase. It is the learning phase. If you are seeing yourself in a place where you are thinking, they are not paying me what I am worth. No, maybe you are over-exaggerating or overestimating your worth. Maybe you are overshooting your worth. My mentor, Ambassador, Debo Nofowora, BIC fan, would always say, value does not beg. Value does not beg. So, if you feel what you are being paid is not enough, just maybe, you are placing yourself on a higher pedestal than you deserve. Thank you, sir. The fact that you are in a palace does not make you a king. It does not make you a king. So, we must be that young person that understand time and season to say, okay, I am within this, thank you so much for this proverb. I am within this palatial space, but for me, this is my learning phase. This is my learning phase. This is not my earning phase yet. This is not my relaxation phase. Because you see, as I round up, and I've said that several times, you must understand that wealth is built in sequence. Wealth is built in sequence. Let me explain that. Imagine I want to teach a child 1, 2, 3, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 7, 10, 9. Now, technically, you will agree with me that every number needed from number 1 to 10 were mentioned in my reading. But because the sequence with which I arranged them was wrong, automatically you would mark everything wrong. Right? The same way, if you study the scripture, you realize that the creation of the world followed a sequence. That is why somewhere in Ecclesiastes we say there is time for everything. So there is a sequence to wealth. And the sequence to wealth is you do not put money before skills. You do not put money before value. Value must precede. The footballer that earns best is the one that is seen as most valuable. In short, in football matches, you will see what they call MVP. I think they will do that too in basketball. So there is that knowledge of knowing. There is that knowledge of knowing that I am in my learning phase. Even if you are running your own business, you must know when you are still in your learning phase. And that is why usually I will advise, I'll say, as a young person who is in business, you must be able, as a must, you must be able to say, okay, because I am in my learning phase, what more do I need to do to, to get more funding outside my business? Because this business is in a learning phase. It cannot cater for me, but I will not let it die. So as a young person starting from zero, this is part 1. Yes, we can build wealth. We've said that again and again. Yes, we can build wealth, but in trying to build that wealth, we are starting from zero. And if you do not have the funds to pursue the dreams that you have, find somebody else's dream to help them carry. Find somebody else's dream to help them pursue. Find somebody else's dream to help pull towards the promised land. But don't just find somebody's dream. I said, ensure you give it your all as though it is your own. Ensure you give it your all as though it is your own. Ensure you give it your all as though it is your own. I don't know if there is any question. There's any question? Any question, you can just type it. Any question? Anybody can make money, but the reality is not everybody will make money. But anybody can. Yes, keyword, humility and delayed gratification. Thank you, Ajara Ibrahim. Humility and delayed gratification. Hi, Anna. We did get here overnight. We didn't get here overnight. So you must know when you are in your learning phase. In your learning phase, people will mock you. People would doubt your competence. People will throw jabs at you. The big good ones will even advise you and give you opportunities to let go. They will advise you, say, come and try this one, come and try this one. You will get an opportunity to even lose your discipline and be dishonest. Yes, anybody can make money. Anybody can grow wealth. Because again, the mistake a lot of people make is you are pursuing a dream that does not have a future. Let me talk about that a bit. Because as a young person, one of the things I try to ask myself when I have an idea, especially, you see, because thank God for AI, it is easy to see what is being done around the world. And I ask myself, this thing that I want to pursue, is there anybody who is doing it and has made money? Is there anybody who has, how do you procrastination? Okay, is there any, so think of what you do right now. You are a farmer, you are a this, you are a that. Is there anybody who has become rich by doing what you are doing? Because if nobody has ever made money and become rich from what you are trying to do, maybe you should not do it. Your question is, how do you deal with procrastination? Procrastination is not Satan. It's not a demon. Again, that is why, if you remember, since you say you didn't join early, I had earlier said that wealth is intentionality. If I sleep right now and I try to wake up and I'm tired, it's not a demon, I'm tired. I mean, somebody was asking me earlier and they were like, oh, you're looking somehow, and said, oh, I've been working since on Saturday. Today is Monday. I've not had, cumulatively, if I add all the sleep together, I've not had up to 2-3 hours sleep. I'm not boasting like, oh, but I've been working and working. In short, there was a meeting I had earlier this afternoon that I think I zoned off for some few seconds. I really hope it's not that bad. Uncle Akialabi, good evening, sir. My knowledge is from above. My question goes thus: as a young graduate, should one go for a job or go for apprentice? Thank you, sir. Only you can answer that. Whether apprentice or job, you are still serving somebody. Only you can answer that. Where do you see an opportunity for growth? Because as a young graduate, the goal is not money yet. The goal is build your value. What's my young advice to a young person who doesn't want to go back home because she actually left home to build something worthwhile? The pressure coming from home and the reality of not getting results from her current work at the moment. So you need to sit down and ask yourself, why am I not getting results? Because again, there is no demon anything pursuing you. If it is not giving results, is it growing but it has not gotten to results? They are two different things. So if I plant a seed and the seed is growing but I have not seen the fruit, it does not mean I am failing. So I need to be able to be circumspective in my questioning. Why did I really leave home? Did I leave home to pursue a dream, or did I leave home to escape accountability? Or because they're asking me, when will you this, when will you this, when will you this, I just say, well, let me leave home and I'm done. Because at times, I am one of those that believe, I've heard people say, oh, when you are 18, leave your parents' house. But for me, if you are 40 and you can stay in your parents' house and you are not married, Baba, stay there, save money. Put that money into other things. Of what essence is leaving your parents' house? Now you are alone and you are paying rent. Parents too have a house and you are all in the same city. I'm really not, I hope I answered your question. I hope I did. Mommy, good evening, ma. I relate to what you said about sometimes when people start early, they tend to downplay the power of learning. So my question is it okay to feel used in your learning process? If you are learning and they don't use you, what is learning? Hi, Kemi, check your message. If you are learning and they don't use you, service. What's the meaning of saying service? You are going where to serve. Let me check dictionary meaning of service. So service is to be used. Like service is to be used. They will use you. The action of helping or doing work for someone, like you are doing work. So if I say I am in service, I am supposed to be used. The person I am serving owns my time, owns my timetable, owns everything. In short, not to sound too dramatic, owns your life. It is service. Do you understand? It is service. So you are not be worried if you are not being used. There is this Yoruba adage that says that Omoti Baba Rema Fe is the child that the parents like that is cold. There's somewhere else it says, I don't know if that's in the Bible, it says, spare the rod, spoil the child. But the part of the Bible that I'm sure it says, that says this thing is where it says, their rod and thy staff, they comfort me. If you've ever seen where they rear sheep, a rod is used for correction. Pankere, you beat the sheep with a rod. A staff is used for direction. So, one is correction, one is direction, but both of them are for comfort, to bring you to a place of comfort. So when you do anyhow, you get pankere. When the brain resets, you get direction. So any boss that is not using you is not allowing you grow. Any boss that is not stretching you is not allowing you grow. It means the boss is not seeing you as what's the word? One real iwulo. What's iwulo now? They are not seeing you as something. I can't remember the English word, but you get what I'm trying to say. Now who they? Oh, Mr. Wanko, God bless you, Buka. Now who they useful that they use? Because you will hear somebody say, "Oh, they are using my destiny." Shey destiny will not work for you. You not go let person if you use and use them. Because we must get to that point where you understand that in the workspace, you are paid for your time. So the person owns your time. The person owns your time. And it is a person that sees your potential that will, what's the word now? Demand more of your time. That will demand more of your time. So if there is no demand on your time, then remember, we've said this before. You need three things in life: time, knowledge, money. The reason you are probably there working and doing all of that kakiri is there is no money. Abi? There is no money. That's most likely why. Most likely there is no money. So think about it. If you don't have money, you only have two things with you: knowledge and time. But you do not even have the knowledge enough to create the wealth you want to create. So the person, you need to now give your time. Think about it. You need to now give your time to somebody that is above you, that will give you the knowledge by using your time. So as that time is being used, you are getting knowledge, It will get to a point where you have so much knowledge and time, you will now be able to combine those two and make money. I'll give you an example so it might make sense. I remember while growing up, I grew up with my grandparents, maternal grandparents, and I remember while growing up, my grandfather then used to be a smoker. And my grandfather would say, "Hey, something," so I don't know how to describe it, but we had a place we call Junction. If you grew up in the village, you know there is always a place they call Junction for some weird reasons. So he would say, "Go and buy me cigarette at the junction." My grandpa will not call you by 6 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., no, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. It's like 10, 11 p.m. he will wake up. Go and, no, 9, 10 p.m. Because those days, you know, if you remember those days when I was much younger, the only station available was NTA. So there was no, and NTA news was 9 p.m. So in between that NTA news, he knows we will soon go and sleep because it's getting boring. He will not say I should go and buy cigarettes. Now, fun fact, when I want to go, I'll be scared. He will now come out from the sitting room and stand on the veranda and tell me, "Start going, I'm watching you." Now, as a kid, I believed. Then there are days maybe you go and buy the cigarette, you probably spoke to a child or two on the road. Because of that, you spent more time before you got back. Then he sees me, I get back home and he's like, what were you doing? You branched. And then out of fear, I will now confess. I see the person I was talking to. He will now say, "I saw you. I was watching you. I thought you were going to lie." Then I will just calm and let it go. But when I grew older, I started realizing, wait, grandpa no fit dey veranda. Me when they go like 30 minutes waka for night and grandpa go dey see me. But I'm going somewhere, what that built in me today, because at that time it looked like punishment. But what grandpa built in me unconsciously or consciously is I do not have fear for darkness. I do not have fear for dark spaces. And it has helped me. Who knew I was going to be a farmer? Who knew I was going to be doing processing and I needed to be awake overnight and stay around at night and be hearing the whew, whew, whew from birds, from all of that, and still be fine, not bothered? What looked like punishment then was a building block for a future I did not know. Because we think we will understand life forward, but the reality is life would only be understood over time when we look backward. So, what am I trying to say? We must get to that point where you understand that your bosses are not maltreating you. Your bosses are not doing you evil. Your bosses are not Satan incarnate. Your bosses do not hate you. No, they are just trying to give you value. They are just trying to help you bring out your value by giving you knowledge. And the best way you can get knowledge is by being given duties, is by being given responsibilities. As a matter of fact, I always say this, you should be more worried if you are working in a place and you are only given the job written in your job description. They don't stretch you, they don't push you, and you come Monday to Friday, you are doing the same thing again and again and again. Worse off, if that thing that you are doing does not really require you overthinking, it means it is just a matter of time a machine will replace you. So you are just a job holder, a placeholder for the machine that is being built for the future. That is what it means. But as you are, because when we get to level 4 or level 3 or 4, you are going to understand this more, where I will discuss, sorry, just a minute, where I will discuss something very interesting. You will get to understand that there is a level of wealth you can only get through a principle called wealth transfer. Through a principle called wealth transfer. And you do not transfer wealth to servants, you transfer wealth to children. So there is who you need to become that qualifies you to get wealth transferred to you. That is a conversation for another day. But there is who you need to become. There is the person you need to become. And that person you need to become must be the person that whomever we transfer wealth to you sees themselves in you. And seeing themselves in you will be built from them chastising your every mistake. It will be built from them pushing you to the wall, breaking your defenses. And in all of this, you still do not lose your loyalty and accountability to them. Hope I answered your question. Any other one? Let me check. Hope I didn't miss any question. Yes. No, service is hard. I can tell you for free. Service is hard. Yes, intentionality makes you not to feel used, but enjoy the moment. Exactly, sir. Service is hard. Service is not easy. Service is not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you, oh, to serve is easy. Just no. Service is not easy. Service is not. If it were easy, I would have told you so. Service is not. Because at times you can serve to the point that it feels like you have forgotten your vision. You can serve to that point. Will this session be available on your YouTube page? I don't know. I'll see if I can download it. Yes, service brings out the best part of you. Brings out the best part of you. Service provides a way to discipline yourself. Service gives you an opportunity to build yourself. Because as you start becoming more valuable and more valuable, then you will understand why you had to go through the fire. You cannot become gold without fire. When is the next session? I said maybe tomorrow. So the reason why I'm trying not to promise these days is because I have realized that the whole, what's the word? I have realized that processing is a different ball game, so I don't want to be promising people and not fulfilling. But I think it will be on Facebook. So the level 1 is you must believe and invest in yourself. You must be the first to invest in your vision. We must see you pushing your own vision. We must see it. We must see it. There's a part in the scripture where it says that David encouraged himself in the Lord. You know what? You know how life will don't hit you so that a whole David night by himself say, Baba, you have tried. There's this other parable they will say that when the Agama lizard jumps from a very high place and it lands, because there is nobody to give it a round of applause, what does it do? On its own, it will nod its head. It will nod its head. So we must get to that point where we start thinking intentionally. How do I push myself? Who do I need to serve? I cannot be Oga and be broke. There is this song I like. I'm trying to remember the way they sang it to. Not because of how did they sing? I want to remember the lyrics. Not because of something, can't go put yourself. Not like basically not because of say you want show off. Can't go the beraga for the person that can save you. No, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. You must know that I am still in a space where I need to learn. I need to learn. And the only way you can pay the person that you are learning from because they are your mentor or your coach or anything without money is by giving them your time. Is by giving them your time. Worse off if you are even an employee, which means they pay for your time. Please, how does someone into watermelon farming process it? What do you want to turn it into? I mean, watermelon can be watermelon juice. You can decide to have watermelon Chapman, watermelon mojito, watermelon tapache. There are a lot of things you can watermelon it into. What you need to do is go online and search. That's the beauty of 2025. That there is information at your fingertip. Go online and search. How do I make this? Okay, list all the assets you have. Speak with ChatGPT. Speak to Grok. Speak to, is it Siri also? Whichever one. WhatsApp even has AI. Speak to it. This is what I have. How do I start this thing? What if I only have a capital of 10,000 naira? How can I start by processing my watermelon? We must be ready to think. That will be our next conversation, because the problem is we have young persons who want to get out of poverty through wishful thinking and bribes. Please, can someone build a successful farm without directly involved in farming operations? Is it more like hiring people? Can you build a successful farm without being in farm operations? Yes, you can. I mean, if you have the money to put in the system, the structure, you don't need to be on the farm. You don't need to be on the farm. If you are doing something like cocoa farm now, oil palm farm, cashew farm, you don't need to be on the farm. You can have people, but you need to understand agric. Because if you really do not understand it, how do you evaluate whether what they are doing is right or wrong? Because a lot of people can just bamboozle you with terminologies that sound very, very, what's the word? That sounds very, enticing, meanwhile kò sí nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀, kò sí nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀. I hope that makes sense. So you can build it, but you need to know what you're building. You need to have the right knowledge. I don't know if there's any other question. There's any other question? There's any other? Did I miss anyone? How can I identify when I'm serving under a leader who has my interest at heart and the one who does not? Very good question. How do you identify a leader who has your interest at heart and the one who doesn't? Can I be honest with you? It doesn't matter whether they have your interest at heart or not. The question is, are you learning? Are you growing? When you know that you have gotten to the limit of the growth that is possible in that organization, then you move. You move. Even if it's somebody that has your interest at heart. You move. I mean, kò sí covenant. So again, because I don't know how else to explain this, it's not whether your boss likes you or not. It's not whether your boss wishes you well or not. We are naturally selfish persons. So it's not about that. It is, again, there are three things: money, time, knowledge. What I am giving this person is my time. What am I getting as a reward? At the level 0, what you are getting as a reward cannot be money, even if you are being paid salary. Even if you are being paid salary, it cannot be the money. I don't know, making any sense. So you are judging, am I growing in this place? Am I growing in my intellect? Am I getting better? Or am I still the same? Am I the same as I was yesterday? Or am I better today? These are the real hard questions. With a competitor who has parents talk or to boost my given my limited finance, knowing that I will eventually get to produce my own parent stock. How do you partner? You need to find, how can I serve them? Because remember, you are the one that needs them. You then need to start thinking, what will they need? Because one of the biggest errors I have seen around young people is assuming that because their rich is rich, there is nothing I can do for them. Because the rich people are rich, there is nothing I can do for them. It is just you are just blindfolded by poverty to believe that the rich cannot be helped by you. Is it Naaman or so? I think it was Naaman that was the leprous general, that it was his house girl that said, oh God, if the prophet has said, go and do this, won't you do it? Why not just go and jump 7 times? Let us see. So you need to think circumspectively and say, okay, what can I do to help this person? Because many a time people come to the rich from the perspective of bless me, bless me, bless me. That is not a relationship, that is parasitic. They might smile at you, they might laugh with you, but it's a parasitic relationship, it's not symbiotic. So it is your job, the one that needs the relationship, to think, what can I offer in this relationship? I am always one of those that says, if I cannot offer the rich anything, then I do not deserve to take anything back. I need to think, okay, what can I help with in their fish farm? Should I join their sales team for free? I am telling you that. Go back and check my earlier post, 2020. I was happily promoting BIC. Happily. Because you need to know you need these people more than they need you. So if I need you, how do I make myself an asset? How do I make myself an asset? How do I make myself an asset? Very, very important. Because if I am an asset to them, then by default, whatever privileges that I can enjoy because of their covering or their platform, I will be given. Because I have now become somebody valuable that should not fail. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Exactly. Sir, is it okay to multitask as beginner in farm produce? I mean, going into mixed crop production. It depends on you. If you have the energy and the capacity, you know your customers. Maybe you are in a place where people only buy tomato and pepper. Then why do you only want to grow tomato? And now be looking for where they will get pepper. When somebody else can have the two and take your market from you. So there are things that it's not a definite yes or no. You need to understand the situation from the reality of where it is. Because at times we become too oversimplistic that we shred the what's the word? I don't want to become that oversimplistic and I remove the essence of the truth. Value attracts value. Yes, exactly. See, let me say this. You are looking at, when I think I was teaching someday somewhere and I discussed this, I always forget the law, but it's the law of, I think, relativity. I think is the law of relativity. I think it was by Albert Einstein. Yes, it refers to a theory which consists of two parts. Special, what's the law now? Law Nimowa. I'm looking for the law. The law of physics are same for all. No, I'm not looking for this. State the law of states. The law of relativity. Let me see if that will come up. I can't find it. I'm not sure how to look for it. But if you remember the law of relativity, it talks about that some particle. Oh, there's a way it says it to. The laws of physics are the same for all observers in inertial frames of reference. So there was a way he put it, but what I'm trying to say is you are looking for the rich person that would help you, but what you did not understand is the rich person is looking for a value in a poor person that can help them. And until there is a value match, until there is a value match, wealth will not flow in the direction of the poor. Instead, pity and degradation in the form of what you are paid is what will flow. Both of you would come out happy. One will win, one will lose. It will always be a win-loss relationship. Then there's another question. If not, I can log off. So all I tried discussing today is all I tried to have my conversation throughout today was something very simple, which is how do we start our journey from wealth from zero. It starts with you. Hey, praise, hiya, hi Abuja. It starts with you. It starts with you. You are the person that starts the journey. You are the person that's, thank you, praise, that starts the journey. That's very, very important. Whatever you're going to build starts with you. You don't have money to build, then find who to serve. Wherever you are serving people will use you. Using you is not a crime. Using you is a normal thing. If they use you, it means because you are useful. If nobody can use you, it means you are not useful. So allow yourself to be used as you build knowledge, as you develop your mental capacity, as you develop your mental acuity. Allow yourself to be used. There is no shame in that. There is no shame in that. There is no shame in that. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. It took almost 2 hours. Sorry it took that long. It's been a great time. Maybe tomorrow or so, we will then move on to the next part. After you have used your money, after you have failed, people have mocked you, you are broke, people laugh at you, and all of that. How do you move from there? How do you grow from there? How do you get to wealthy? We will discuss that tomorrow. What times am I live? So, praise, that's the funny part too. Right now, I'm live because I'm expecting some stuff and I'm trying to wait, though I'm tired. So, I really don't have a specific time yet. I know I've been told to create a real time. I'm too lazy. Hi, Uncle Yemi. How do you juggle all this, managing people, and how many hours do you use in sleeping? So, how do you do all this? You take life one at a time. One thing I have told people from beginning is there is nothing like work-life balance. That is a lie we tell ourselves. There is nothing like work-life balance. You cannot give every aspect of your life the same thing. If I take every aspect of my life, my social, my academics, my career, my family, spiritual, relationship, if I give every part of my life the same level of attention, meaning if it is 10%, I'm giving everything, my life will be a perfect ball, a perfect cycle. And once your life is a perfect cycle, you will just roll through life and not live through life. So life is more like an hexagon, depending on how many parts of life you feel you have, or pentagon, whatever gun. Reason is there are areas of your life that takes priority that people can see, and there are areas of your life that takes priority that act as the foundation that people do not see. So it means as I live my life is something like this. So there is a time in my life where this is where it's important that people are seeing, but this is what I am building behind the scene. Another day, my life moves, it's now like this. Another day, it's now like this. So priority shifts from time to time based on what I need to achieve per time. I know some of us have read his book by Chairman Femi Otedola, where he talked about the fact that his wife gave birth, but he needed to run away for a business sharply. So imagine your wife giving birth to your day and like, Mama, congrats, I need to rush. Because at that point in his life, he needed to give some things some priority. What the world would have been seeing, so that it makes sense, is his wife has given birth to yay, and he left the wife, really raw. But the part the world was not seeing was he was trying to rush to build a sustainable. So it's not about work-life balance that people shout, oh, there must be work-life balance, work-life balance. For me, it's more about prioritizing, understanding priorities per time, understanding that priorities will change. Yes, something must suffer. Yes, is understanding that priorities will change per time. There is a time where sometimes when I look at my younger kids and the way they are playing, I just smile when I look at the older kids saying, this is a phase. If I do not, that people like, oh, are they not disturbing you when they come to the family mind? I'm like, no, because there will be a time when I will miss the disturbance because they are no longer at that age. There will be a time. So it's not about work-life balance as much as it's about understanding the times and maximizing the time. It's more about understanding and maximizing the time. That is the real gist. Understanding, I hope I answered your question, and maximizing the time. So I'm not trying to juggle to balance. Instead, I'm trying to understand where am I now in the journey. What do I need to give priority? What do I need to like, what else? And what do I need to be like, you want the foundation. Hope that makes sense. Okay, I think there are no more questions. Thank you everyone for joining. Yes, scale of preference determines our timing. Very true. Very true. That is important to me does not mean it has to be important to you. It doesn't mean you are right, neither does it mean I am wrong. It just means we are in different spaces in our journey. That's all it means. Where I am is not where you are. And the good thing is we can both be right, though we have different perspectives. All right, thank you all for joining. Some opportunities must be forgone, yes. Have a great night. I would have said, oh, what was your biggest takeaway? But I know not everybody likes typing. What was your biggest takeaway in the 1 hour talk or 1 hour 30 minutes? Be sure that I even made sense to somebody, that I helped somebody. What was the biggest? Thank you, Mr. Ikechukwu. See biscuit where they chop with you. Don't come and say I be thief to eat them. Hi, Yoma. The Oyinbo dancer. No, it's a gift. Somebody gave it to me as a gift. My picture and my name written at the back. It's not a fan match. Oh, bye. Good night, boss. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Williams. Yes, become, thank you. Auntie P, Miss Praisey. Be intentional in my service, yes. Did you pick a thing or two? I'll try and see between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll try and come online. Fingers crossed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great night on Instagram.